All right, here we are, beginning chapter 1, chapter 6. 6.1 is adding with unlike denominators. I like fractions. This whole chapter is about fractions. The next couple of chapters is, and you notice that your math book changed to green. The edges of the pages are green, and we're going to be adding some fractions. It wants us to use models though, so we're gonna do this using models. But first we have to understand what a fraction is. 1/2 is one in the numerator, two in the denominator. So let me see here. We got the numerator is the number. It's how many, or yeah, let's see, it answers the question, how many. Okay, the denominator is the size, and it answers the question, how big. Okay, so the bigger this number, the smaller the slice is, because if we just take one pizza and we cut it into two pieces, that's what a half is. If I were to draw a picture of 1/4, well, we're just looking at the bottom again. This is using fourths. It doesn't have to be 1. This just tells us how many. I guess we'd have 4/4 here, right? If we cut it into 4 pieces, 4/4 is equal to 1 whole pizza. And that looks like this. So the bigger this bottom number is, the smaller everything is together. So for instance, if I wanted 8, go back to this, 8/8, I'd want to cut each of these slices in half, like this, and like this. Then there'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces, and the size is eighths. So notice that as the number on the denominator goes up, the size of the slice goes down. And we're just keeping track. The top is just how many we have. So if you said I had one slice of pizza, we don't know if that slice of pizza is a whole pizza, like this one, or if that slice of pizza is just 1/8 of a pizza. We probably assume that one slice of a pizza is not one whole pizza. We'll probably assume that you ate one piece of pizza, and we might be able to say that there were 8 slices. Well, this is just what fractions are and what they stand for. It's important for us to remember numerator and denominator, to remember that numerator means the number, or how many, and the denominator means how big it is. It's important to know that as this number in the bottom goes up, the size of the piece goes down. We have to keep that track. But we're really using models today, so we're going to do some things. For instance, we're going to add 1/4 plus 1/4. We're going to start with that. And I want you to know that you can go to the Think Central website. You can click on things to do, my library, and you can click on iTools Intermediate and go right here, and then click on fractions. So you're going to want to do this, and then maybe go over to activities. So you've got fractions and activities, and we're going to add fractions. Now I'm going to make it big. We're doing 1/2 plus 1/4. So 1/2 looks like this. It's half of it. See, 1/4 looks like this. And then I need to make equal sized pieces and then add them. So when I make equal sized pieces, my half got cut into 2 equal sized pieces of fourths, and my 1/4 got cut into 1 equal sized piece, and now I'm going to add them together, and it looks like I have 3/4. 1/2 plus 1/4 equals 3/4, and then I can click equals, right? I can click check, and it says excellent. See, that was nice the way that worked. And so we will go back over here. 1/2 plus 1/4 equaled 3/4. And what really happened is we took, if we use pizza, we took, there's one pizza. But I have to back out of that. And here's another pizza. Hopefully I can make them close to the same size. And this one is 1/2. This one has fourths. Okay, so this is 1/2, and this is 1/4. And if I add those together, it looks a little bit like this. This is the half, and let's not use this one. Let's not use this one. Let's use this one, and we put it in right here. They're the same, and then we can see that this is 1/2 plus 1/4. If we were to cut this in half, then these would become 2/4, and this is 1/4, and you get 3/4. It just kind of works, but you have to cut them down so that they're the same. See, really what we have is 2/4 plus 1/4 equals 3/4. This 1/2 was changed into 2/4. So we took 1/2, cut it in half so that it would be fourths, and it becomes 2/4, and 2/4, you can add 2/4 plus 1/4 equals 3/4. Now if they give us another one and they ask us to do what 1/2 plus 1/3 is. Now this is a little harder, but we're going to make this big again. We are going to sweep it all out. We're going to do 1/2 plus 1/3. Okay, so we have to make equal size pieces, and notice this one is 1/2. This is one piece, and this is one piece. When we make them equal, this is 3 pieces. There's sixths now. 3/6 is the same as 1/2, and 2/6 is the same as 1/3. And we add them, we get 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1/2 plus 1/3 equals 5. But what size? It's not halves and it's not thirds. It's sixths. Okay? It equals 5/6. And if we go ahead and go back to our other page, we turn this one into 3/6, which is the same as 1/2. And we turned this one into 2/6, which is the same as 1/3. And when we add them, we got 5/6. That's what it looks like on paper. We're going to learn how to do it on paper better sooner. Today we're just going to use models, and we're going to do a couple more. Well, let me just do 1/4 plus 1/12. You have to just remember that 1/4 plus 1/12. So back to our fractions, and we're going to clear it out, and we're going to go 1/4 plus 1/12. So 1/12 is tiny. It takes 12 of these to make one whole. 1/4, it takes 4 of these to make one whole. So I need to make equal pieces. Notice that my 12th stayed the same, but my 1/4 turned into 3/12, and then I add them. So I get 1, 2, 3, 4 12ths, and I check it, and it says way to go. Okay, great. Clear it out. What if I want to do 5/8 plus 1/4? 5/8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8 plus 1/4. Now, again, we have to, this is eighths and this is fourths. What can we make them? Well, I'm going to leave the eighths alone, and I'm going to turn this fourth into eighths. See that? These are still the same. They're still 5/8. And now 1/4 turns into 2/8. And when I add them, they go together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7/8. And I check it. Way to go. All right, that's all you're doing. I suggest that you use this activity, this fraction activities, that you can find on the Think Central website. You know how to sign into that. We can do this at home, or you can do this at school. Your assignment could be done really quickly. If I could figure out how to close this. There you go. Remember, go to Think Central, go to My Library, click on the iTools, click on Fractions, then go to Activities and go to Add. And that's what works for today. See if you can work it out. It'll help you answer the problems. You could draw on your page in the same way. You could draw with a pencil 1/4 and 1/12, but it's a little hard to see what those are unless you have the whole to compare it to. And you have to understand that you take one whole and then you cut it into fourths by making 3 lines, and there are 4 equal pieces. And if you were to cut that into 12ths, see 4 goes into 12 3 times, so you'd have to cut each one of these into 3. You can kind of see that that counts up to 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's how you do it on paper, or you can use pies or circles for pizzas or whatever it is that you're looking for. Anyway, good luck.